So today I've partnered with ASUS to showcase the ASUS Zenbook S13 OLED. This is probably hands down one of the lightest laptops I've ever had here at the studio. It's so light that it only weighs 2.2 pounds or about 1 kilogram. But what I like about it is the fact that it doesn't look like every other laptop. ASUS has taken a risk here with the design, and I love the way this lid looks. You have this big A going across the top of the lid. You have the ASUS Zenbook logo on the bottom. The top of the lid has a very, stony or coarse texture. And because of that, you just don't get any fingerprints on the top lid at all. Like, look at this. I got greasy fingers, okay? And you don't see anything on the top of the lid, which means this laptop is gonna look cleaner for a longer time than your traditional notebook. Now, usually when you go light, you have to sacrifice how much aluminum is incorporated into the laptop, which obviously they've done here, but this is still a magnesium aluminum product. And they've also incorporated recycled materials. So what you get is a product that's not only light, but also very durable. This has been through the military standard certification, so it does have a lot of durability to go along with it. It's a two-tone finish, so the top of the lid's a bit darker. And then of course on the bottom, which feels a lot more like your traditional metal, is a different color of gray. It's super thin, like 10.9 millimeters thin. To give you guys some context, I have an iPhone 14 Pro Max. This is about 8 millimeters. So at the top back over here, obviously the iPhone's a bit thinner, but it's not by much. When I move up to the front, the laptop actually becomes just as thin as the smartphone itself. Port I/O is very interesting because with most laptops that go this thin, they end up just using a couple of USB Type-C ports and calling it a day, but they were actually able to squeeze in a good amount of I/O for a laptop this small. For the left-hand side, you do have a full-size HDMI port, you have two Thunderbolt 4 ports, you have your battery indicator, and then on the right-hand side, you have a USB-A port and your combo audio jack. Obviously, it comes with a charger in the box. It's a 65-watt charging brick. It can easily be opened up with one hand. There's a little groove on the bottom front of the laptop, and when you open it, you can see the base move into a hinged position. This is the ergo hinge that ASUS has incorporated into a lot of their laptops. And this allows the laptop to be moved upwards to give the vents on the bottom a lot more room to breathe. Not only does this help with heat management, but it also gives you an angle to the keyboard so that when you have your wrists on it, it just makes typing feel a lot more comfortable. Now, the typing experience is great. It really reminds me of the MacBook Air. You do have a little bit of flex in the middle of the keyboard, but overall it still feels very, very rigid. There's 3 levels of backlighting that you can choose from, but of course, if you don't want any backlighting at all, you can turn it off. I do like the fact that they went with a black keyboard instead of a gray one, because when you do have the white backlighting on, it's a lot easier to see. But the star of this deck is hands down this touchpad. It feels so good to use. It's a glass touchpad, but it has just the right amount of click to it, and the accuracy is very, very good. Sticker placement is fantastic. There's only one sticker on the laptop, and the speakers are just underneath the left and right side of the front of the laptop. Sound quality is actually pretty good. Even for 2 speakers, it gets very, very loud. It definitely focuses on the high end, but even at max volume, it's extremely sharp. Now, with thinness and lightness being one of its strengths, the other one is definitely this display. This is a 13-inch, 2.8K OLED display, 16:10, 60 Hertz, and it looks awesome. It's very vibrant, the colors are deep, the blacks are on point. If you're watching any content or doing any sort of design work, you're gonna love this thing. It has very good color accuracy, the color gamut is impeccable, and the screen brightness is a little bit above average, but it does go up to 550 nits of peak brightness if you ever want to watch any HDR content. So right now you're listening to the microphones from the ASUS Zenbook S. Also, the camera is 1080p. You guys let me know how it looks and let me know how it sounds. Now, there's different SKUs you can choose from, but this one happens to have the i7-1355U Intel CPU paired with 32 gigabytes of DDR5, 6000 megahertz RAM. You have a 13-inch display and a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. Look, this thing is not a powerhouse, okay? It's not gonna crush a thicker, beefier laptop from ASUS. This is really geared towards someone who's traveling super light and wants something that's very, very portable. The single core clock speeds are fantastic. Multi-core clock speeds are very similar to previous years, but what you are getting is a very solid and consistent experience. Because the laptop is so thin, the fan noise is obviously going to be a bit lower so that it gives you a quiet experience when you're using this product. If this thing is under completely full load, doesn't matter what profile you have it on, the loudest it's going to get is 44 decibels. If you're not pushing it to its full potential, fan noise will stay under 40, which gives you a good, quiet experience. Heat management is also great. The deck of the keyboard never gets too hot, and the laptop itself always stays cool. It doesn't matter how hard you're pushing this thing. Now, the internals are very interesting. Like, I wasn't expecting this to have upgradable RAM just because of how small and thin it is, but they did place the RAM so close to the CPU that it helps with the efficiency of when they're talking to each other. The only thing that is truly upgradable is the actual NVMe SSD. If you want something bigger down the road, you can actually swap it out. But even the Wi-Fi card, the Wi-Fi 6E card, is soldered onto the motherboard. But most of this laptop is actually a battery. You have a big 63 watt hour battery, and the battery life on this thing is incredible. I got over 12 hours of use before needing to charge, which is great for a laptop this small. So here's the thing, when companies go this light and this thin, a lot has to be sacrificed, but I think ASUS did a fantastic job of balancing everything out. Not only do you get a very unique look, you get a product that feels premium, you get a product that still gives you incredible battery life, and the best part about it is you have a beautiful screen to go with it. Look, not everything is gonna have everything you want in a laptop, but I feel like this laptop is perfect for individuals that wanna travel as light as possible, but also make sure they have good battery life to go with it. And they absolutely achieved that with the ASUS Zenbook S13 while incorporating into a laptop design that's very different than other competing products out there. If you have any more questions, let me know in the comment section down below. There'll be a link to this product in the description. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.